When only the nobles can dream of becoming a knight, a commoner decides to change history. Unfortunately, society refuses to accept him and falsely accuses him of a murder. A long time ago, there was a kingdom living in peace. They believed they had nothing to fear, but lurking in the shadows was a great and terrible evil. The monster attacked without warning, destroying everything and everyone in its path. But when everyone lost hope, a hero rose up. She was known as Glorith. She ordered the monster to go back to the shadows from where it came. Glorith vowed that her people would never be vulnerable again. So she trained an elite force of knights and declared that their descendants would protect the kingdom for generations to come. But if you want a happily ever after, you can never let your guard down because the monsters are always out there. Thousands of years have passed, but the knights still exist to guard their people. However, only someone from the noble bloodlines can become the knight while the poor can just dream. But the tradition is finally going to change in tonight's knighting ceremony. A street kid named Ballister wanted to become a knight, and he was lucky enough to get noticed by the queen. She believed that Ballister had the heart of a hero, and she let him study in the Knights Institute. With Ballister joining the ranks for the first time in history, the kingdom's safety will be put in the hands of a commoner. Therefore, most of the people are against this decision. Beside Ballister, many other disciples are also graduating tonight, including the direct descendant of Glorith, Ambrosius Goldenloin. He is the most anticipated knight of this generation. Despite being a high-ranking man, Ambrosius isn't arrogant at all, and he has developed a close relationship with Ballister. He believes that everyone is going to love Ballister like he does. However, his other fellows still believe that Ballister will never get accepted. Suddenly, the director arrives. Ballister takes his sword from the squire and stands in line to greet the director. Afterwards, they head outside to get honored by the queen. As his turn arrives, Ballister walks to the stage and the queen officially announces him as a knight. She also declares that from now on, anyone will be given the chance to become a knight if he works hard enough. Hearing this, the crowd started cheering up for Ballister. When everything seems perfect, Ballister's sword mysteriously changes shape and shoots at the queen. Ambrosius proceeds to stop him and cuts off his arm. Ballister runs away as he gets a chance to escape. He doesn't know how this all happened, but now everyone believes he is the murderer. Ballister is hiding for days looking for a way to prove himself innocent while everyone calls him the criminal. They believed that a commoner never deserved to become a knight, and the queen died because of her wrong decision. However, there's someone who finds Ballister worthy. It's a mysterious little girl named Nimona. She finds Ballister and offers to be his sidekick. She wants to help him take revenge against the cruel world who didn't accept him. She suggests taking over the government or killing the royal bloodline. She even prepared a murder wall to choose their next target. Ballister explains that he is not a villain. He is hiding away to find the real murderer and prove himself innocent. Nimona offers to help him, but Ballister refuses to trust a weird stranger. Hearing this, Nimona rushes away as the knights are reaching there soon. Ballister gets caught and thrown in prison. The director comes to meet him and explain how foolish she feels. She and the queen trusted him and gave him a rare chance, but he disappointed them all. Ballister explains that he is not the murderer, and he requests to meet Ambrosius. But the director says Ambrosius is heartbroken after what he witnessed. He doesn't want to see Ballister ever again. After she leaves, Ballister finds Nimona calmly sitting in his cell. She believes that Ballister must have learned his lesson. He can't just convince others with his words. They all just see him as a villain no matter how hard he tries to prove his innocence. He has two choices. He can either break out of the prison with Nimona or die in the prison while waiting for justice. Nimona breaks the security system and escapes with Ballister. She plans to kill the guards in their way, but Ballister warns her not to be violent and sneak away quietly. Nimona can't help her extremist nature and keep destroying everything in her way. The guards follow them from all sides, and they also encounter Ambrosius. His eyes are filled with distrust and disappointment. Nimona drags Ballister away as he is too stunned to move a muscle. He can't believe that the person who loved him also assumes him as the murderer. Nimona reminds him that they are stuck, and she decides to use her hidden powers. But he warns Ballister not to panic. Saying this, she shapeshifts into a rhinoceros and runs towards the gate. On the way, she keeps changing herself from one animal to another and escapes all the guards. Nimona is celebrating their successful attempt while Ballister falls unconscious by the shock. When he wakes up, he assumes that everything was a dream. Nimona advises him to stop freaking out and accept reality. Ballister asks if she is a monster, and Nimona gets angry. She hates being called a monster just because she is different. Ballister understands her situation but wants to ask her one last question. Why is she helping him? Nimona is doing this all just because she finds Ballister similar to her. Everybody hates him too. Ballister stops asking questions and starts thinking of their next move. The squire who had brought his sword must know how the sword got exchanged. They must get him to know the truth. Nimona is ready to help again, but Ballister feels unsure because of her unpredictable nature. But he has no other option, so he eventually agrees. Meanwhile, the knights are feeling sorry for the destruction of the Institute. They start blaming Ambrosius for supporting a villain like Ballister. Ambrosius also regrets his choice and decides to take down Ballister by himself. The director approves his decision and lets him lead the mission. He sends thousands of forces to spread around the town and find Ballister. Under such circumstances, Ballister and Nimona have to take the public train to the market and find the squire. Ballister puts on a cloak, but the guards are everywhere. He needs some distraction to ride the train without getting caught. Nimona takes that responsibility, but what she does is of course not expected. She shapeshifts into Ballister and starts getting goofy in front of the guards. Then she starts playing some jazz music and invites the guards to dance with her. While they all run after her, Ballister gets in the train, and Nimona also sneaks in as a rat. On their way, Ballister asks her who she actually is and how she discovered her rare powers. Nimona keeps twisting words and doesn't reveal the truth. Ambrosius is keeping an eye on CCTV footage and gets suspicious. He knows that Ballister doesn't like jazz and he will never dance in public like that. There's more to this case than they are assuming. Ambrosius heads to the train station to catch the villains, but they escape from the roof. After looking around in the market, they finally spot the squire. Nimona takes the form of a cute little child and asks the squire to help in finding her mother. When the squire doesn't fall for her cuteness, she starts threatening him. After capturing him, she puts him in a random car and Ballister drives it away. The knights keep shooting arrows at them, but the villains escape. One of them hits Nimona's leg. Ballister carefully pulls it out and bandages her leg. But Nimona doesn't react at all. She has faced more painful things than this little wound. Afterwards, they open the car trunk and question the squire. He also wanted to reach out to Ballister, but couldn't do that in time. He was shooting a video in the storage room on the night of the ceremony. He heard someone coming and hid in the closet. The director stepped in and switched Ballister's sword. She is the one who killed the queen. Ballister takes the phone and lets the squire go. Nimona suggests uploading the video on the internet and letting the world see the true face of the director, but Ballister doesn't want to harm the image of the Knights Institute. He wants to give the proof to Ambrosius. Nimona reminds him about his arm, but Ballister believes that Ambrosius didn't mean to cut his arm. He was disarming the weapon. The knights are trained to take such harsh actions in case of an emergency. Nimona keeps stopping Ballister and asks him to question whether it is worthy to save the Institute. Why does it even exist? And why the kingdom is trapped in walls when it hasn't seen what is on the other side? Whom they are protecting themselves from? From innocent villains like Ballister or harmless monsters like Nimona? Despite this explanation, Ballister still believes in Ambrosius and goes to the Institute. He tells the truth and pulls out the proof. But before he can show it to Ambrosius, another knight destroys the proof. Ballister thinks that Ambrosius will believe him anyway, but that doesn't happen, and he orders the knights to capture Ballister. They tried to do it the right way, but it didn't work, so it's time to do the wrong. Ballister grabs his sword and knocks down the knights with Nimona's help. He gets against Ambrosius and asks if he means anything to him. Ambrosius questions if Ballister is going to team up with a monster, but Ballister replies that Nimona is his friend who stayed by his side, unlike Ambrosius. Suddenly, some more guards attack Ballister. Nimona rushes to help him, but gets caught in an electric cage. Nimona turns into an even bigger monster to escape the cage. She suddenly notices a kid in danger and saves him. Afterwards, she takes the form of a little girl, but the kid still calls her a monster. Her heart breaks and she runs away. Ballister tries to calm him down, but Nimona questions the way humans are brought up. Even the little kids are taught that they can become a hero if they point a sword at anyone a little different. Nimona hasn't done anything, but the whole kingdom wants to run a sword through her, and sometimes she wants to let them do it. Ballister comforts her and says that she was always right. They should just find another place for themselves on the other side of the walls. But Nimona can't let the director get away so easily. It's time to play dirty like her. Meanwhile, the director is studying all the footage of Nimona to know more about her. Suddenly, Ambrosius walks in and questions the director about her suspicious acts. She confesses her crimes and says that she did this all to save the kingdom. Only the nobles should become the knights. To keep her acts a secret, she kills Ambrosius. However, it is actually Nimona. Ballister has filmed the director's confession and uploads it on the internet. Everyone finally sees the real face of the director, and Ballister and Nimona celebrate their victory. Ambrosius rushes to arrest the director, but she has saved one last trick under her sleeves. She makes an announcement and explains how Nimona can take anyone's appearance. The director lies that in the video it wasn't her but Nimona. Ambrosius secretly meets Ballister and says that he still trusts him. The wrong one is Nimona, who is tricking Ballister. She is using him to destroy the kingdom. Ambrosius pulls out an ancient scroll and shows the picture of the monster Glorith defeated. It was Nimona. Ballister refuses to believe this and decides to ask Nimona by himself. He shows her the scroll and asks if it is her who fought Glorith. Nimona can't believe that Ballister still doesn't trust her even after the way she helped him. Ballister loses his temper and says that Nimona made him commit crimes, so she is not the only one being hated by the people. She is not a sidekick, but a monster. Hearing that word again, Nimona runs away out of the kingdom. She recalls her past when she used to shapeshifts into different animals just to blend in, but everyone rejected her. Until she found Glorith. She befriended Nimona, and they used to play together all day. Glorith eventually saw Nimona's shape-shifting ability, but she stayed her friend. Until one day. The kingdom got to know about Nimona and started to call her a monster. Glorith tried to save her first, but then she took her kingdom's side and told Nimona to return to the shadows she came from. Since then, Nimona has been desperate to get accepted in the society. The grief and darkness takes over Nimona and she turns into a giant black monster. She enters the kingdom and walks towards the Institute. All the knights start attacking her and create chaos. Nimona walks to Glorith's statue, which is holding a sword. Nimona steps further to kill herself. She has given up. No matter how hard she tries, for others she is just a monster. Suddenly, someone stops her. It's Ballister. He apologizes to Nimona and tells her she is not alone. Nimona turns back to normal and hugs Ballister. The director still orders to fire the cannon at Nimona, which can affect more than half of the city. Ambrosius stops her and tells her that they might be wrong from the start. The director doesn't listen and fires the cannon. Nimona says that she is going to rewrite the history, and she immediately rushes to take the impact of the cannon on herself. The kingdom is saved, but Nimona disappears. The shielding walls also break and people realize there's nothing on the other side to be afraid of. The Institute is shut down and the knights live a normal life now. Nimona and Ballister's pictures are still everywhere, but now they are called heroes. Unfortunately, Nimona is not here to see this all. Ballister goes to her hideout and cleans it up. He was about to leave when he heard a sound. It's Nimona. She is alive. We live in a society where people have to die to prove their innocence. Just because someone is different doesn't mean he's a monster. Give them a chance to write their story.